We are coming to you from Evansville, Indiana, a fine Midwest city in the southeast corner of Indiana along the southwest corner of
Southwest,
Indiana.
you're fine. I wasn't going to correct you.
Along the Ohio River, we are sitting in Patsy Hartigan's with Josh or Big Cat. Which is your preference?
Hola, whatever you want to call me. Josh or Big Cat. This is another Big Cat at Barstool Sports. I've thrown out an invitation for a trial by combat 2 or 3 times. He won't respond, so Josh or Big Cat's fine. I can still be Big Cat until I have to kill him.
And you start with Ola from an Irish pub.
Yeah, well, we're very, very diverse here in the Midwest now.
Okay.
And so I wanted to make sure I did my best at demonstrating that right off the bat.
All right.
Baseball
That's good to
pun.
know. I just need to know the
Baseball
ground
pun.
rules. We met Josh at Doc's a couple years ago, a sports bar. We were attending to watch Reds baseball games and NFL games because we're big into fantasy football. And as time went on, Josh and a few people partnered up on Patsy Hartigan's, which is an Irish pub here in Evansville. Why don't you kind of give us the concept that goes with Patsy's?
Yeah, so I got started master brewer by trade, and ended up buying my first sports bar, Doc's, about 9 years ago, and that ran its course. It was in a bit. We don't need to get into all that, but it was 8 good years, a good run at Doc's. It ran its course in the neighborhood it was in. During the time I owned Doc's, I ended up on this project, Patsy Hartigan's Irish Pub. It did pretty much as brass tacks what it sounds like. It's a beautiful Irish pub in here. Unfortunately, over the last year, we've shut down Doc's, and so since I have no other part of me under my current business umbrella to compete with doing sports, we've decided to start doing a little more sports emphasis, I think is the best way to put it here. So we are an Irish pub first, sports bar fourth, for sure. But it's impossible for me to own a bar and not have the game on. I think if you're going to force me to be there, you're going to force me to be able to watch the Detroit Lions on NFL Sunday. You know what I mean? So Patsy Hartigan's Irish Pub, very traditional, very beautiful. The whole goal of the restaurant is to make people feel as though they literally went to Ireland for an hour and a half when they come in here for dinner. And I feel like we're pulling that off pretty well. But mixing the sports.
So why the heck? Well, hold on. You want to make them feel like they're going to Ireland, yet you're going to make them watch American football?
Okay, so a little bit of a lesson for you, which will be fun. When we were over there last January, all they wanted to talk about in Ireland is American football. They love Americans tips because a lot of Europeans don't tip over there because it's the culture, and we did anyway. And they loved. More people wanted. I was excited. I'm a big soccer fan, so I was excited to get over there and talk Premier League and stuff. And I know Premier League's England or Ireland. Everybody over there is pretty well split down the middle. Manchester United, Liverpool. They didn't even want to talk about it. We told them we were from Indiana, and every single person was like, "The Colts, the Colts." We were like, "Yeah." And the NFL is growing so exponentially right now. I've made the prediction before that within the next 5 years, there's going to be a European game every week of the scheduled NFL season, and we're moving to 8 this week. So I'm looking right. I can feel it coming.
Let me ask you something about that while we're on that topic. You're the NFL. You literally owned a day of the week. Why would you go and mess with that and try to diversify more? I think, yes, I do agree. I think it's helping some. But now they're splitting into games in Mexico, Mexico City and other places. It's like, man, at some point,
Germany.
When is enough enough?
Well, interestingly enough, you said they own a day of the week, but for part of the year when it's not college football, they own 2 days of the week plus 1 or 2 evenings of the week, and now they're trying to take over Christmas from the NBA.
Oh, I'll allow that. I'm not an NBA fan. That would be a great thing for everybody involved.
I think you posed a great question, and the way you put it was great too. I mean, it really. But I think I can answer it with one word, and that is money.
Oh yeah, they didn't have any
money.
other.
There's a lot of money out there they can be grabbing. The United States, if you argue the top 20 cities in the world right now, you could argue that the United States has maybe 2 or 3. And there's a lot of other gigantic cities with a lot of money and a lot of people that they could capitalize on. And it feels like they're starting with London. Paris might be next. Rio de Janeiro, they've done some games in. But there's a lot more money out there. As the internet continues to evolve, we're all closer together now, right? I mean, I've got friends that I haven't seen for a year and a half in Ireland, but I can tell you what they did yesterday because I saw them on Facebook. The whole world's smaller now. And because of that, I think they're going to go after as much of that money as they possibly can. And I don't think it has anything to do with what's the right way or wrong way to do it, unfortunately.
All right, so if they're going to go with as much money as they possibly can, at what point is this Sunday NFL ticket and blackout crap going to be over and they go the YouTube route in the sense of, hey, free content, we make money off the ads, the ad space? Because then you got more people watching the games, therefore more people buying apparel, possibly wanting to go to games.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
And then
You're not wrong to say
baseball.
why are we advancing our accessibility in Europe while we're trying to tie up American fans so much with the way we do things? I think that's a great point.
Look at baseball. You're a Cincinnati Reds fan. If you don't have cable TV, you can't watch games.
Well, it's tough, especially in Evansville, Indiana.
And then if you get MLB.TV and you're in Cincinnati, you can't watch the games then either because they're blacked out because you're in the same zip code.
Well, and
when the hell are the teams
going
to get their own streaming service? I mean, you know how easy it is to develop a streaming platform and a streaming service now? The Reds could literally develop their own streaming service and platform and have a multiple, exponential more viewers. When are they? I mean, yeah, they get big money from the TV, but I think it's the same problem that I'm seeing with show hosts in my industry, which is the outdoor space, hunting TV. They're all an outdoor channel. That's the way it's been. Sponsor dollars are coming in for that. But at the end of the day, there's this divide. There's a lot of guys that are afraid to say, hey, we're not doing the syndicated television anymore. We're just going to go to YouTube because they know what they have in the syndicated television. They don't know what's going to happen when they go to YouTube. You're probably going to have to take a hit for a few years before you see the returns, but the returns will be much greater going to the free World Wide Web than it is on syndicated television and streaming platforms that you have to pay for.
Well, as it concerns the Reds, let me take it in a little different direction. They want to expand their market, but yet here in Evansville, Indiana, which is 200 miles from Great American Ballpark, I can have an MLB subscription, but I can't get Reds games because I'm in a blackout area. If you want to grow popularity of a team like the Reds, blocking out a city like Evansville is not helpful.
No.
I have to go to a sports bar to watch a game, a Reds game. Fortunately, I have Patsy Hardigans.
We got you.
I was going to say, it's good for Big Cat's business, but...
One thing I've found, and there's a good snippet about this in Ken Burns' baseball documentary, was before baseball teams in New York began broadcasting on the radio, they refrained from doing so because they were afraid that if people could just listen from home, then they wouldn't come to the games. And I believe it was Branch Rickey that had the Brooklyn Dodgers that was the first one that said, screw it, let's try it. And what they found was broadcasting the baseball games on the radio locally boosted crowd attendance because people in the neighborhood were so much more invested because there was that constant contact to the product. If we were back in like 2004 and I was a Tigers fan with my dad and I got to watch the Tigers on TV once every 2 weeks and then maybe read about them in the paper in a small little box in Evansville every morning, I would have much less fan investment than now that I can see it's crazy. I watched the Tigers on the way home for my trip to my cabin in Michigan yesterday in my truck with no Wi-Fi, just over the radio. You know what I mean? And what they found is accessibility, even for a sport with 162 games a season, locks those fans in. And now, I used to never drive to Detroit to see a Tigers game. I'd watch them on TV with Dad. I go to Detroit like once a month to watch a Tigers game because I watch them when I'm at home all the time, and I'm locked in as a fan. That access to the product, that access to the team, them constantly being on my conscience, is definitely something they found out back in the 1920s or 30s or whatever it was. And the Brooklyn Dodgers made bank off of it just for giving the radio away for free.
That's my point, and I think I've never heard that, which is interesting. I'm glad to hear someone was smart enough to figure that out at some point during the course of time in sports. But I think there's a fear factor. You got to remember, these owners, They're all chasing money, no matter how you slice it. But I've always said, if you have a business and your number one concern is the money, you're never going to achieve it. If you're just concerned with the product quality, the money will follow. The championships will follow. And I think giving away the streaming for free, which you can generate ad revenue off of, YouTube's proven that, would lend itself to, hey, you're worried about the product quality, and then the money will follow. Right now, they just care about the money. I mean, look at some of these owners in smaller market clubs. They got money to spend in free agency, but they don't want to because it's all about the bottom line.
Well, keep in mind that some of these teams, Cincinnati Reds included, their cable provider from last year went bankrupt, and they had to settle on a deal before this season started.
Yeah, and the other thing people have learned with the internet is you talked about giving the radio broadcast away for free. When you give away the free content, it makes people say, you know what? Yeah, I want to pay for the extra. I got to see that extra, what I don't get to see with the free package. So there's ways to capitalize on it.
You want me to follow and invest part of my life, whether that's energy, time, or money, into this thing that plays 6 days a week, but I can only see it 1 day a week? That just sounds like a bad deal all around. And I think it's the accessibility that really locks people in. And baseball's in a weird spot. It's not growing like the NFL, but it's not dying like haters say it is. But it's in this weird middle ground to where I think accessibility for it and getting rid of those blackouts would go a long way. And like you're saying, doing things right, and the money will come. First advice I ever got when I opened a business: if you worry about making money, you won't do things right. If you worry about doing things right, the money will make itself. I think that's what you were trying to say earlier.
Yep. It's all about the long-term play. They're worried about the short-term play. They want the money right now. No, make the long-term play. You're already a freaking billionaire. Get over it.
You're not wrong.
Well, it seems like that's a good segue into getting into a discussion about this past weekend series.
Yeah.
Between the Tigers and the Reds, which brings us together because you are an everything Michigan fan, whether it's
a couple of them,
the University of, whether it's the Lions,
look right there, Dad.
whether it's the Tigers.
Look right there, Dad. Look, I can't get around.
You a Pistons fan too?
Right there, bud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The D, bud. 313.
All right.
That's how I was raised.
So this is a good time to recap, but before we do, you will be the first guest to get a gift for
Steve-O!
coming onto the podcast. Steve-O, who, if you paid close attention to this weekend series,
I did.
Steve-O, batting average, he had 6 hits. His batting average is up to about 265 now.
Thank you, Jesus.
He was starting off very slowly this year, but is now coming
He was
around.
like a top pick for you guys, right?
Yeah.
First rounder.
Yeah, he was
was-
straight out of high school.
I was going to say it was out of high school, so it was
Yeah.
like 6 or 8
It took
years ago.
forever,
wasn't it?
probably.
Probably closer to 10, bud. I bet he's
Could
26.
be.
I think he's 27.
Yeah, you're right. 9-10 years ago.
And he's a
And
big dude for a catcher.
He is a big dude for a catcher.
We both got some pretty stout boys. Dingler's taller than me.
Dingler's got an arm.
I'm a big fella, if you can't tell.
He's got an arm.
Yeah, he's going to be fun to watch. It was a fun series this weekend for me. We chatted a bit about this, but the bullpen days are getting less and less fun when you lose. And also we have, I don't know if you realize this or not, the Detroit Tigers have a current Saturday curse. We were 0-8 in our last 8 Saturday games. We have the best record in the American League, and we cannot win a baseball game on Saturday to save our lives. That's one of the things that makes baseball so damn cool.
Well, and I'm sure there are people in Vegas that are well aware of that.
Yeah, absolutely. They track that stuff.
Because they really track
You
that
guys
stuff.
played well this week and got it done. You're right there, I think.
I think the Reds, there were certainly some positives. You saw, like I said, Stevenson starting to come around. Ellie had a good weekend.
Yeah, he did.
The defense played well. For the most part, the pitching was solid with one exception. Friday got off to a rough start. I think that the Reds benefited from some uncharacteristically shaky defense
Yeah,
the Tigers had Sunday.
We did some bonehead shit. Can we say that? I'm sorry. Can I say bonehead shit?
Yeah, you're good.
I just did twice.
Yep.
Sorry.
All I got to do is mark it. All I got to do is mark it as explicit. We're good. I do that
Okay.
anyways. So it's
Oh, I
fine.
can make your job harder by cussing all the time.
I think though.
No, I'll just leave it in
What's
there.
interesting is we've had a running discussion, Clayton and I, about the fact that pitchers have a difficult time fielding and or throwing to first from their position, and that seemed to get both of the Reds' rallies on Sunday started.
Do you think it's starting to like shift to like a cultural acceptance to where like you know how like centers in basketball are bad at free throws? Like all they need to do is
Yeah,
practice.
Shaq.
All Shaq needed to do was practice. All Dwight Howard needed to do was practice. Just because you're tall, you're taller. You're closer to the damn basket. And do you think it's
we've
starting to
had-
become more culturally accepted that like if a pitcher commits an error, even if it loses you a game and a series, you think it's starting to become more socially acceptable to be like, well, he's a pitcher.
All I'll say is I might hear an earful about this from Graham after the fact, but I think once they implemented the DH rule, especially in the NL, the overall performance of worrying about everything else surrounding your position outside of just throwing pitches kind of went a little bit by the wayside. I'm not going to say it's totally forgotten.
That definitely
but I think
tracks.
overall,
So it's like because they don't have to bat anymore, they just checked out entirely.
yeah, look at John Lester. He was always terrible at throwing to first base, especially when he was with the Cubs. He had some atrocious ones. You know why? Because he was a pitcher in the AL first, where he didn't have to worry about hitting. So all he's worried about is getting guys out throwing pitches.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's I mean the Reds have been bitten by that more than once just this season. It was earlier in the season, but they had some pitchers that had some difficulties. Now, the other thing I will say is it seems to me, both defensively and offensively, that Ellie was more dialed in this weekend than normally because I think sometimes he has
Thanks for
trouble
that.
focusing.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that
No.
was cool for me to see him playing so well in the Motor City all weekend.
Offensively and defensively.
Yeah, he did great. He was great.
He had 7 hits. Steve-O had 6.
You guys are what, 5, 6 games back in the division right now in June?
I think they're 5.5, maybe.
That's right there.
So they're 5.5. They're tied for third, but obviously a half out of second.
I've always had love for the Cincinnati Reds. I'm not a two-teamer guy. In NFL, I'm a Lions fan, and I've grown up a Colts fan, and we have Colts season tickets because it's so close to our home. So I guess that's a split thing. That's 51-49. If the Lions did play in Indianapolis last year, and I wore my Lions gear with all my buddies and took a lot of crap for it, but I'd stand on business, as the kids say. But I think if I ever had a National League team, I would be so hard pressed between the Cincinnati Reds because they're so close, and there's just already enough Cardinals fans, Lord knows, or the Milwaukee Brewers because I'm a brewer by trade. But I've always had love for the Reds. I always keep an eye on those guys, and I feel like you guys are having a pretty decent summer. The Cubs are just really hot right now.
The Cubs are hot. Actually, I think they're cooling off a little bit.
Yeah.
Detroit started that weekend before.
You're welcome, and then you repaid us by kicking our asses in Detroit.
Well, we just wanted to, hug it out with you.
That
Yeah,
was a really
listen, this
impressive
is-
hug.
This is the age-old story of the Reds. They play to the level of their competition.
Yeah.
And I do think the Reds, they get a couple more guys back. Like I said, Stevenson, he came off the IL. He started the season on the IL. Came out of the gates slowly. Hayes had a hot hand. He's back on the IL. When he comes off, last time Marte come off the IL, he was doing really well. We get those two bats back in the lineup, and offensively, hopefully, they'll be more consistent.
Just win 2 out of every 3 series and see where you are August 1st. Well, I think you can do that. From watching you this weekend, I kept a close eye on all of it this weekend. And I think you can do I feel confident that the Reds can just – you guys played like this is weird for me to say this, but statistically, the best team in baseball in Detroit this week, and you took 2 or 3 from us.
And
If you're doing that, you can do the other stuff.
well, right before that was the
That's my
Guardians,
point.
who at least a reasonably good team. They took 2 out of 3 from them.
You just can't stub your toe too much. Sorry.
It also relies on Tito's plan coming through in the sense of starting pitchers going more than 5 freaking innings. You got to go 6, 7 innings as a starting pitcher and not give up more than 3 or 4 runs. I think that plays a huge role in it. I mean,
At least your top 3 guys do.
With Bell, he would just yank them 5th inning every time. Like, wouldn't even let him start the 3rd time through the batting order. It's like, dude, you're never going to get a guy to do that if you don't teach him how or let him figure it out.
Your top 3 guys in rotation have to consistently be able to do that. It's tough to find a small market team, and I'll even lump Detroit in with small market, that has the payroll to have 5 guys that can do that every week. But if your top 3 guys are getting yanked in the 4th inning, what are you doing? You're wearing yourself out. You're running yourself thin.
Well, yeah, because the bullpen gets tired.
Yeah.
And for the last 3 seasons, we get to mid-August in Cincinnati, and all you hear in late August is the bullpen's tired.
Yep.
Well, that's because you pulled the pitcher in the 4th and 5th inning every game.
Twice a week, yeah.
Yeah, more than that.
Yeah.
How cool would that have been, speaking of top 3 pitchers, if Cincinnati and Detroit would have had their aces go out there against each other?
It would have been pretty neat. My belly starts sweating.
Yeah, hold on. Who's the Reds' ace?
Right now, it's Abbott. Green's
Oh,
on
I
the
don't
IL.
disagree with you, but
Green's on the IL, so he wouldn't have been available to pitch.
yeah,
There's
but if
no
Green's
other
not on the
option.
IL, if Green's healthy, who's the ace? Right now, if it's me, you can't give it to anybody but Abbott.
Well, let
Look at
me
the
ask you
numbers.
this. If Green were healthy right now, out of Green and Abbott, which one's more likely to make the All-Star team? There's your answer.
That's
Abbott.
yeah.
Statistically, he's been much better than Green.
Statistically, yes. You want to go with a popularity contest? No.
Well, that's like Ellie and Friedel. Ellie will get it before Friedel, but Friedel's the one that really deserves it from the position players.
Yeah. The only thing going for Friedel right now in that case is Ellie's 4th amongst shortstops, and by a significant number in votes.
But he draws people.
Yeah, you got to sell tickets.
It's the All-Star game. They're already selling the tickets. Ellie's not that much of a value add for
I'm
that.
talking about Great American Ballpark. Needs to pack their asses in every Saturday, Sunday, and Ellie does that.
Hey,
I don't
did this-
disagree with you about all of this, but I'm just saying there's an element to who the people recognize.
Great American Ballpark had one of their largest crowd attendances this past week they've had in recent memory when the Savannah Bananas were there.
So I was in Michigan this weekend, in Grand Rapids, the West Michigan Whitecaps. It's 45 minutes from my house up there, and they had Savannah Bananas had a league game there. It wasn't the Savannah Bananas, but it was. Apparently, these guys have a whole league going now.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? I was
Yeah,
not
so it's
aware.
the Party Animals versus something else. And I think, can I go on a tangent here?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think Savannah Bananas is cool. I'm not old school, and I think they're ruining baseball. I think they're cool. But if you're going to start setting up the aspects of a league and a championship in a season format, as goofy as it gets, you got to make sure we know it's not fixed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you gotta make
Can't
sure
be
it's not
Harlem
the
Globetrotters.
WWE.
I've seen the Harlem Globetrotters play 10 times in my life. They've never lost because it's always special. And if you're going to set up a league and then you want us to invest in, I might choose one of the bad guy teams, but it can't be.
So that's
The moment you do that and it's fixed, then all you're doing is professional wrestling, which is fine, but don't call it baseball.
well, professional wrestling or NBA basketball
Oh yeah, fair enough.
or Kansas City Chiefs football.
Yeah.
So right back to the point we had before about putting the product first. I saw a video on social media yesterday or today. The owner of the Savannah Bananas was on an interview, and he was talking about selling out all these NFL stadiums. All this stuff is cool, but his favorite thing to do is to go to some local field, basically,
Oh, he's got to come to Bossy.
and play a pop-up game where the locals aren't expecting it, and they just go have fun and put on a show for the random fans. That is putting product first, and because he put the freaking product first, look at what he's doing. He's
I think
disrupting
his
the
name's Jesse
entire
something.
thing.
His name's Jesse something, and so far, he's done it right, I think. So far, he really has done it right, and that sentiment that you just spoke to just speaks volumes on his perspective on how to run this thing and what really keeps it grounded. The big struggle is going to be as it does get bigger and bigger. That's an easy thing to say when you're selling out Bossy Field or Savannah, Georgia, or Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Like, he filled up Clemson's football field.
Yeah.
And when that money starts running in, it'll be interesting to see if he maintains that perspective on all of this. It's easy to say I'm making $500,000 a year and living my dream job, but now someone comes along and you have the opportunity to make $50 million a year. Are you still going to be devoting a lot of time, effort, energy, and that staff payroll to making sure you play a game at a single A ballpark in Pearson, Michigan? You know what I mean? So I think he's done it right so far, which is what you're speaking to. Let's see what happens when he puts more fans in Tennessee Stadium than the Titans do.
Okay, so now to that point, something else we talked about. The publicity, the media, giving it away for free. Do you know how he kickstarted this thing and they became popular in the first place?
YouTube. It was brilliant.
YouTube live stream. And I know because we had meetings with the company that they got their live stream equipment for, because I was working on a live stream project and we had meetings with them, and the guy was telling us, yeah, that's how the Savannah Bananas kicked it off, was YouTube Live. Again, free publicity. Look what
Yep.
it's done for him.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Well, I think he's leveraged social media to create a brand. It's all about your brand.
100%. Your brand and how well that brand just constantly sits on the public conscience. Because the public conscience now needs so much more contact. Because we've now gone from a generation of my generation who you had us for 2 hours. Like, our fun on Friday night was going to the movies. Or I'd go to the movies with Dad on Saturday after we got done cutting grass, or we'd watch a basketball game. I'm 38. You have us for 2 hours. This next generation, you have us for a TikTok video, or we are swiping up. And that's the reality. You have to stay on that public conscience, especially as we get older and you guys age out, and then we move into the old people, no offense, and the young people start having the money. The young people end up with the money. You have to find a way to engage with them, and they've got such a great head start on that with their social media. They got famous by showing their games on YouTube for free. They really got famous through their TikTok. TikTok set it off.
TikTok is explosive, man. I mean, I can tell you just from working with brands for what I do, what they look for when they go to work with influencers, which I hate that term, but it's the term everyone understands, is the retention rate after 3 seconds. How many people are still watching after the 3-second mark on a video?
That makes total sense.
Well, I mean, if you stop think about it, I only have an Instagram account. I don't have Facebook, TikTok, anything else. But you get one of those short videos, a couple seconds long, you're on to the next, and eventually they get you hooked. It's like crack.
I'll scroll Reddit every night before I go to bed, and if I've got a bad connection, I'll watch any video if it's playing, or I'll read any article. But you could literally say, this is the most incredible thing anyone's ever caught on camera in the history of the world, and it proves, like, some really good news. It proves there's a heaven after earth, and you need to see this, and it's great news. And if that shit takes more than 15 seconds to load, I'm doing that, and I'm going to the next thing on Reddit. That's just what we're built for now. Instant gratification.
I'll do that. There was one today. It sounded pretty interesting, and it's going through the motions, and it's 3 seconds in, 5 seconds in. After about 7 seconds, I'm done with you.
Yeah,
I'm not going to wait to
Let's
see
not get
the
the
outcome.
payoff.
Next.
Yep. Look, I started making TV shows. It totally undermines everything I've done for a decade. But, hey, if you can't beat them, join them. I'm an idiot if I sit there like a stick in the mud and I don't evolve.
They'll eat your lunch, man. You evolve or you die.
That's
So let's get
exactly what
back
I
to the
tell people.
weekend
Evolve or
series
die.
here.
Let's talk about it.
What observations did you have about the Tigers first and foremost?
Game 1, we beat your butt, and that was my only happy moment of all of it. Blackjack on Jack Flaherty, Game 2, did what he's been doing. Just schizophrenia. 2 different pitchers over the course of the same game. He's had a few strong outings. He's been kind of it's really weird to be the best team in baseball and nitpick and bitch about certain things. But you still do because
We all do it.
the Tigers could finish being the best team in baseball this year and still lose 60 games. You still stuff to look at. Also, I'm a Michigan football fan. We are opera critics. I'm used to Michigan beating a team 42-3, and the first thing we do after we have a celebratory beer is bitch about the other team scoring the field goal. We're never happy. That's very, very common for Michigan sports fans. But Blackjack has had a problem this year with consistency, and he's been something to kind of keep an eye on. And I think the best way I can put it is like he's not playing so bad that you worry about making the playoffs. I'm not worried about the Tigers making the playoffs this year. They're playing well, a lot of baseball left. But you watch him and you kind of see this pattern forming to where he could be the reason you lose Game 3 in the series. Because he comes out, has a great first time through the rotation, and totally melts down. I mean, you guys got after him, and then our bullpen, which isn't as strong as it's been in the past, especially when we're burning them up on these bullpen days.
Exactly.
So, I mean, the first thing we noted when we talked about this series, when we kind of got the conversation started last week, is I said, you guys might get us. We have 2 bullpen days with Flaherty in between. The bullpen days, we talked about a little bit about the sustainability of it. And what's funny is I don't think there's enough evidence yet to call it folly. But I do agree with you that it is folly. I mean, there's nothing. The eye test is not good for me. It tells me as a fan on a bullpen day, maybe we're not trying is too strong of a phrase for it. But it's like when right now with Job going down, we've got 3 actual starters, and it was cute last year. Like it was kind of like the NASCAR race where Ross Chastain didn't have any other choice. They've outlawed it now, where he rode the wall. Like it worked that one time, but there's no way you could win the Talladega, the whatever it is, or the Cracker Barrel 400 in Nashville by riding the wall and wrecking your car up the whole race. It worked really well last year, and we got our rocks off because of it. But this year, we're really finding out, being 8 or 9 games up in the division the whole time, that this whole bullpen day thing leans a little closer to an automatic loss than it would an automatic win. And I think that could be the razor blade in the cake in all of this. Because if we actually get to the World Series and we're actually playing the Dodgers and we're at Game 4 and they're up 2-1, and we're like, well, Tyler Holton's going to pitch 1 inning today, and then we'll figure it out from there. How excited do you think I'm going to be for that game?
Again, you're going to have dead arms like we talked about.
Yeah, just lube my neck up and put me under the guillotine, get me ready to go.
Well, dead arms, but I wonder how when you bring each pitcher out, they create a different rhythm, but you got 8 position players that got to remain dialed in.
Yeah.
How much of a challenge is that for him? Because I would contend that with Ellie sometimes there are lapses in his focus when he's on defense. Didn't happen this weekend.
Isn't that amazing?
But sometimes it just seems like some of the errors he makes, as talented as he is, he just wasn't completely dialed in at that moment.
I mean, I know it's hard work. And baseball, more than any other sport, is 162 games a year. I get that. But these guys are paid millions of dollars. Like, if I ran payroll here at the pub and added an extra 0 and cost us $10,000 that week, do you think I get to look at my business partners and be like, it's a long season, we're right in the middle of the holidays. It's just, you have to focus. One of the big things I never get, last year the Detroit Lions lost the game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which they should not have. And a lot of the radio, the talking heads in Detroit were like, well, it's a long season. You don't get the best out of everybody every week. We just paid that guy $54 million to work 18 weeks and then just make sure he maintains his body an hour a day the rest of the year. Like, could our cornerback not take a day off or a week off or a Sunday off on Tuesday, let alone maybe one in July?
Well, how many times have you heard in football about the diva wide receiver that
100%.
takes a playoff here or there?
It takes a playoff.
The playoff. Your point is very valid.
Yeah.
And defensive Ellie and some of the other guys on the Reds roster, at least, I think they're making the major league minimum. So they're making less than $1 million. But your point remains the same.
Still more than I'm making. God damn it! Sorry. It's still a lot of money. To have fun playing a game.
It's more than I make.
I'm a fat bar owner that is past his prime, and I'm happy with my life. I know that there's no way. I had a wonderful prime. I can't tell you about it on here. But I can tell you something. There's no way I can get out there and play shortstop for the Atlanta Braves right now. But I can tell you that if I was 22 in any job that was paying me $850,000 a year, and I had to really, really lock in for 2.5 hours a day, I think I could figure it out. I think I could probably figure out a way to do that 6 months out of the year, knowing I could piss off the other 6.
What's your thoughts on that, Sparky?
That's pretty much what I do. I try to lock in like 9 months of the year, and then it's for a few months during deer season.
There you go.
I think social media is getting to that too, because our minds are, since the beginning of time, we're designed to handle. There was a study someone did on like 3, 4, 5,000 decisions a day, but with social media and the internet now, you're talking over 30,000 decisions a day you got to make. And I think people in general and players don't realize how much that takes away for their mental capacity for the 2.5 hours of a day. You really have to perform
capacity
well for
was
any
the word
job.
I was just thinking. That's the best word you could have said there. I was getting ready to say capacity.
Capacity,
and it's not just
you know,
it's not just baseball. It's every job.
Yeah, you start your day with so much gas in the tank, and there's things that happen in terms of how you operate work-wise, analytically, and as well socially. I've recently learned. I used to be a really, really big ball of fun, and I've recently learned how to manage my social battery and to know when that's getting low. But I think that overall battery, speaking to what you're saying, we have a battery. We're an iPhone when we start the day. We pull ourselves off the charger. And when you're so locked in on social media, I think it just saps you so much. It's the same as sitting next to loudmouth butthead at a bar for 3 hours during a football game. If you have a good crowd around you at a sports bar, you're ready to go to the next bar afterwards. If you have a bad crowd around you at a sports bar for a football game, you look at your wife and you're like, I think I'm ready to go home. That was fun. I'm happy we won, but give me my recliner.
Take that right back to the bullpen days. Those guys aren't used to coming in first, second, third, fourth inning. Takes them out of the rhythm.
Yep.
Same thing.
Rhythm.
Battery capacity, rhythm, schedule, all of it, man.
Yeah, rhythm is so important to baseball.
Well, and not only that, I'm not a relief pitcher, but I would assume that as they're sitting in the bullpen, they are paying attention to the opposing team's hitters as they come up and learning certain things about them as the game goes on.
Yeah.
And so they have time, 5, 6 innings in theory, to observe, which is 2 times through the batting order at least.
Yep.
And they get to see the tendencies, and they, if they're paying attention.
And they get to put that on top of all the scouting they already had, if they are paying attention.
Yeah, because, one of the TV commentators for the Reds, Jeff Brantley, was talking about the fact during the broadcast yesterday that, he would pay close attention to the batters and, what their tendencies were on that day versus other days.
Well, you got to eventually face that guy. You want to know what you're going into.
Yeah. So as we come down the stretch here with this conversation, we can come back to sports in general at another time. I mean, we were talking about the weekend, the series. I guess since you're a little more objective about the Reds than we would be, being Reds fans, having watched them for a couple games now, what would be your observation?
biggest observation for the Reds for me, and I've spent last night and this morning thinking about it. The most important game was yesterday, right? You were put in situations to where you had opportunities to win. And ultimately, you did the things you needed to do in those chances to take that opportunity, and you won. We should have won yesterday, but we screwed up, and you were ready for that. What is it? Luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. And I think that there's a lot of luck in baseball. And if you want to look at the heartbeat or the pulse or the DNA of a baseball team, it comes down to those moments. In those clutch moments, we were going to go 2-1 on this series either way. And I would have been surprised if on Friday you told me you'd win this series, but you did. And you did because when you had those chances to take advantage of that, statistically, we are the better baseball team. Statistically. But you had those opportunities to take advantage of, and you did, and you won, and you not only won 2 baseball games, you won a series against the best team in the AL. I called it.
I did call it.
He called it. So you're not going to bring him one. And if you have that, and if you can maintain that, that goes a lot farther than one like 4-WAR player or one big contract. And if you have that as a team, that's the thing I noticed on the drive home yesterday while I was watching, is you had these chances to do it, and you did it. And that's 2/3 of the battle.
Well, interestingly enough, you say that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sparky, but I believe this was the first time the Reds came from behind late in the game to win the game this season. And it's the first time since June of 23 they came back in a series down 1-0 to win a series. So it's encouraging to see that because it's something they haven't done, nor done with consistency.
Are we cooking with gasoline now is what you're saying?
Well, I think maybe they're starting to further buy into their new managers.
That's where exactly what I was going to say. I think
Thought
the Tito
processes
effect is finally
and
starting to
demeanor.
show.
I mean, dude's been there before. Why would you, like, he's like, to selfishly take it back to something relatable to me, he's like Jim Harbaugh. Like, he comes in and he fixes things. Like, why would you not listen to Tito? He's made a career of coming in and getting the ship right.
Well, he'll be a Hall of Famer as
for sure.
managers go.
Yeah, if you don't want to listen to him, then get that guy out of the room anyway.
Yeah. His name's Devers.
Yeah, I saw that.
That man was sent out of the room.
Hard.
Yeah, but he can take his hundreds of millions with
Yeah,
him.
the Giants are picking up that whole contract, aren't they?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I think the Reds are showing signs of things going in the right direction, and then the Tigers, I think they're going to have to I'll go right back to what we said. I think they're going to have to figure out that bullpen day because those bullpen games, they're going to be an Achilles heel.
The problem is they were going to have to figure it out before Jackson Jobe went down. And the good news for Jackson Jobe is he's getting Tommy John so early, he's going to be able to come back like Mize. He's got a mean spin rate on that curveball and that sinker. But, yeah, so we were probably in the market for a starting pitcher at the deadline, and I think we are definitely in the market for a starting pitcher at the deadline. I would like to see them do a starting pitcher, a bullpen arm, and a bat, but 3 at the trade deadline's a lot. Not picking up Bregman or someone like that for third base wasn't awesome, but you also can't bitch about it because we're 9 games up in the division or 8 games up in the division. So who am I to criticize how they're doing things right now? But you got to make sure that grocery list is not. The trade deadline is a stopping at the store real quick to get cigarettes and fill up a gas tank. It is not a full week's grocery list. That's what summer's for. The winter meetings are for. Sorry.
Yep.
So you got to make sure that list's not too long. But we'll definitely be in the market for a starting pitcher now, man. That's definitely something that's going to happen.
Yeah, there's no way. Using the word sustainable, using those bullpen days, 1 or 2 times the rotation of 5, it's just not sustainable.
But here's the magic of baseball, right? So I thought about this today because we texted a little bit yesterday. There's 3 levels of this. 1 is saying that's not sustainable. 2 is saying the data set we have on it is too short to really decide if it's sustainable or not. It's not long enough. And what's really goofy is the short amount of data set we have is us making up 10 playoff games on August 15th and winning a playoff series and now being the best team in baseball. So it goes against what you say. But the third level that makes baseball so special is that in the face of all that, I completely and totally agree with you. I don't think it's sustainable. I think as you extrapolate it out over multiple seasons, I think there's a dip or a cliff or something that's coming. But right now, it's hard to really lock in a perspective like that when the data we do have is, I mean, they're kicking ass.
I agree with the data,
Yeah.
but we're not even halfway through 162 games.
So why have commentary on the data?
And if I were willing to wager a significant amount of money to me, I would wager it's not sustainable. And I say that because I've watched the Reds, who didn't do many bullpen games over the last several years. They just pulled their pitchers after 5 innings. And by August, September, the bullpen's
those are
worn
surprise
out.
bullpen days.
Yeah, it's just worn out.
No, I 100% agree with you that it's not sustainable. It's just baseball is goofy and charming and beautiful, and that if you had someone actually look at the math on what the Tigers are doing, we look totally wrong saying that, but we also both feel very confident in looking at each other and saying, that's not sustainable. That's what's cool about it.
Yep. We're going to find out real quick.
Yeah, we will. That's the beauty of it, too.
Yep. And you can have as much pitching depth as you want, but I think the Reds are living proof this year that there's never enough because,
No.
their starting five started out well once they got Abbott there, but, due to some injuries and guys that they were counting on coming mid-season that, I don't know, Rhett Lauder, it's going to be a question mark when he comes back.
Yeah.
Green's on the IL for the second time, and they think it's going to be longer than the 15 days this time. So pitching depth is tough these days.
Yeah, especially
Let me ask you this. Go ahead.
Well, especially when you have 5 starters on your roster. There's no other sport like that. Like the Oakland Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders don't have 5 quarterbacks that rotate out. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a unique position to all of sports, even worldwide, that you literally have this position on the field that is probably the most important for the day that changes in a rotation of 5 days in a row. It's just the pitching depth is insanely important.
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Are you willing at the deadline to trade Skubal to get 2, we'll call it, mid-rotation starters? So you're trading 1 day a week for 2 days a week.
No,
Eliminate
for
the
2
bullpen
reasons.
day.
One, Skubal's got team control into next year. So, like, to get Skubal for us while we have – the conversation changes next July when he's becomes a rental and people really want him. Right now, we still have him for this year's run, and we're playing well in next year's run. So I don't think we would move him for anything. But also because with the pitching depth we have now, Skubal is something – I listen to Ann Arbor Sports Radio every morning while I'm in here working in the office. And a term that I hadn't heard in a while was stopper. So Skubal is such a dominant pitcher that when when you're on a slide, like this weekend, we're on a slide, and I'm not sure if he's going Tuesday against the Pirates or not. But if we lose Tuesday against the Pirates, we've now lost, I think, 4 out of our last 5. But then Skubal's up Wednesday. He slams that door shut on that bad juju. And I think there at any given time, there are really 4 to 5 actual stoppers in the MLB. I mean, these guys that Cy Youngs or playoff wins or whatever. I mean, guys that you could say. I mean, Clayton Kershaw was one for forever. Verlander was one for forever. Like, if they pitch, like you're getting on DraftKings and putting $10 on that team to win that day. And so I think that's valuable for as the season wears on, especially with the pitching situation we're in now. But to get rid of Skubal now, to move on from him now, I think that it would be folly. Like I said earlier, no way that he moves now. Maybe next year at the trade deadline, the Skubal saga ends with him testing free agency and then taking a mega contract from Detroit. and he comes back, and then that money screws us 5 years from now. But screw it, we got a 4 or 5 year window. Let's go for it.
Yep.
That's always the challenge for teams like the Reds and the Tigers. Is are you going to give that big contract?
Are they going to end up in pinstripes or not?
Yep. Or Dodger blue.
Yep. All right, fellas. Well, it's good chatting with you. I'm gonna have to run to the kids though.
Well, you have fun
We got-
with that. I just
Yeah,
spent
we're
the
gonna have to
last
do
3
another
days
one of
with-
these. We can talk about. We need to talk about sports in general.
Let's
Big
do it.
Cat's got a big mind.
Yeah, if you guys want to do it like a universe, I'll do a thing.
You know what? We'll do that and bring Berman on.
Oh Jesus Christ, Lord!
You guys know Chris
save the
Berman?
world.
Not
No.
that Berman. This
Kevin
one's
Berman.
more entertaining than him.
Yeah.
This one does bet.
Hey, I just wanted to thank you guys for having me on. I'd love to come on and talk sports anytime. It's my favorite thing to do. And everybody listening, thanks for letting me be a guest on here and squeezing my fat ass in this chair and just running my mouth for a little bit. It's my favorite thing to do.
And I am a witness. It is.
I'm pretty good at that myself. So same boat, buddy. Same boat.
Good luck the rest of the way, guys. I'm rooting for you.
Likewise. Go Tigers.
Eat 'em up.